You were not thinking straight.
I wasn't thinking straight. I'm thinking of trying to help children.
I made the mistake of hiring an atheist. I would never do that again. And so
just because they're an atheist?
No, not just because they're an atheist, but because they have they can't be trusted.
Atheists can't be trusted?
They have no foundation of love and honesty and truth to stand on. And so an atheist would do whatever the atheist feel like doing.
So you're sitting here basically telling me I have no love,
I don't know about you, but the ones
I'm an atheist, sir.
The ones I've dealt with. But my point is, if I'm a Christian and I know that a person admits that he or she believes in Satan, why would I want to work with that person on a daily basis, knowing that?
Why would I want to work with
because you?
Knowing that you believe in a God
right.
that you can't present to anyone.
I would understand that. I wouldn't take it personally. I wouldn't think it's wrong for you to
Why can't we treat each other as human beings?
But I'll treat you well, but I just wouldn't let you minister to a group of kids who I know are already having problems with Satan. And so I'm going to bring the son of Satan to talk to them. Doesn't make sense. But anyway.
Wow.
Welcome to the Fallen State. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. I have with me Steve Hill, a comedian, former U.S. Marine Sergeant, and California State Senate candidate for District 21. Steve is an atheist who is fighting to take God out of the public square. Thank you for coming, Steve. Do you believe there is evil or the devil?
Do I believe there's the devil?
I know you don't believe there is a God. Do you believe there is a Satan?
Yes, of course there's a Satan.
So why do you believe there's a Satan but not a God?
Because Satan is real. Evil is real.
But good is not?
No.
Good is not real?
No.
But evil is real?
Correct.
And are you a good man or an evil man?
I'm a good man.
How are you good if you're not getting your goodness from God?
Because I don't believe in God.
But how are you good then?
I get my goodness from Satan.
But you just said Satan is evil.
Okay. He's not evil all the time.
He's good.
Is God good all the time?
Yes.
If God is good all the time, could you explain slavery to me?
God is good all the time.
Well, could you explain slavery to
me? Man is in a fallen state, and they created slavery. God didn't have anything to do with that.
So God didn't have anything to do with that.
Matter of fact, they were influenced by your God, Satan.
But, okay. So God didn't have anything to do with slavery.
No.
Right?
Right.
And that was all on man?
Yes. Influenced by evil.
Okay, but if God, he's an all-knowing God, correct?
Yes.
So he knows that slavery is going on, but yet he fails to intercede or to stop it. You know, we're all God's children, supposedly. Why come he couldn't say, those children need to let those children go?
Well, we're not all God's children. Some people are children of Satan, such as yourself.
And what about the Islamic people? Is that the same God as the God you worship?
No.
No, it's a different God?
It's a different God.
So, out of the million people that study Islam, their religion is bad because his God isn't equal to your God?
The God that created us all, us all, is a God of all love all the time. Apparently, the Islamic or Muslim God is not. They believe in cutting your head off and restricting women and carrying on if you don't go along with them. Is cancer evil or good?
Cancer is evil, of course.
So your God created cancer then?
So Satan. My God created cancer.
Because your God is evil, right?
Yes, of course. So cancer must have come from my God.
Why not give a credit to your God for creating cancer? Because you said it is evil, your God is evil. Why did he create that?
I can't understand. I have no idea.
He won't tell you why?
No, but now
Do you communicate with Satan?
Never.
Do you pray to Satan?
Only twice a week.
You pray to him? Mm-hmm. And when you pray to him, what do you say?
I pray that we get out of this evil world that we call life. If God was so omnipotent and strength, why wouldn't he get rid of the devil?
He did get rid of him.
So why does he still exist?
Because he needs to exist for a while longer.
For a while longer?
So that people like you can
2025?
learn. Yeah.
When does he expire? Does the devil expire?
You see, as Satan is the head of you, are you the head of your family?
Am I the head of my family?
Yes.
I wouldn't say I'm the head of my family.
Was your father the head of his family?
No, I wouldn't say he was the head. Okay. I saw him and my mother take equal parts in raising us.
You're patterned after your father then?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
So you're running for state senate, District 21, I believe?
Correct.
What made you decide to run? Why are you running?
Because I actually felt like I didn't have a voice in my own community. Nothing stings like being discriminated against by your own people. So I felt like I didn't have a voice in my community. Well, I'm a former state prison guard. For 10 years, I worked at 2 different maximum security prisons.
Wow, I can see you doing that. Keeping everybody in line.
Yeah, there. You just said a key word there. Safety and security of the institution was my job. And they had this program. It was being run out of a church where one of the schools in Antelope Valley were having trouble with the black and Hispanic inmates fighting each other. So I heard about the program and I thought, wow, I could use my talents there. They could use my assistance. And I went out there and we spoke and we had good communication and we talked about the positive things we could do. So after we spoke and the meeting cleared up, you know, they grabbed my hand and started praying. Everybody bowed their heads. You know, I didn't say anything. I just went along. And afterwards, though, I spoke to one of the leaders and informed them that I wasn't very religious. I was just here to try to help the children.
Right.
Well, after I went back home, they never called me back again, which kind of made me upset. It's like, wow, you guys, just because I don't think like you think, you would lose someone with my talent and professionalism and leadership to deal with the kids. You would rather see me walk away because I don't think like you.
So you felt they had discriminated against you based on religion?
Blatantly.
And what's wrong with that? If they are a Christian organization who believes in God and believe that God is the way out of this hell that these kids are going through, why would they bring in an atheist? It doesn't make sense. Most Christians believe that Satan is the problem, that he's influencing the kids in a negative way. Why would they bring in an atheist to work with them if they're a Christian?
Our schools are public. Those are public funds, tax-paying dollars. When you pay taxes, they don't ask you what religion you are. So this is why we need a separation of church and state. Now, would they be also telling everybody, all the children, how great that their God is? And would they be like recruiting them to come to their church?
Well, I can't speak for that particular
they shouldn't
group,
be.
but
That's why there's a separation of church and state. That's why the way I think in my religious orientation shouldn't make a difference in the program. The main objective was to keep the black and Hispanic kids from fighting each other.
So atheism is considered a religion, right?
No.
It's not a religion?
No. No.
Let me ask,
the
why did you,
is the
you
non-belief
knew,
of a deity.
You knew beforehand that once they found out that you were an atheist, that they were not going to take you in as a part of their group. Why did you even bother to go there? And then why do you go around them and do your own thing at the school?
No, actually, I was giving them a benefit of a doubt. So I went to the church thinking that, no, they wouldn't be discriminatory. They would look at the program and they would accept me no matter what.
I know, but you had to realize your thinking was wrong then. You were not thinking straight.
I wasn't thinking straight.
I made the mistake
of trying to help children.
I made the mistake of hiring an atheist. I would never do that again. And so
just because they're an atheist?
No, not just because they're an atheist, but because they have they can't be trusted.
Atheists can't be trusted?
They have no foundation of love and honesty and truth to stand on. And so an atheist would do whatever the atheist feel like doing.
So you're sitting here basically telling me I have no love,
I don't know about you,
no
but the ones
I'm an atheist, sir.
The ones I've dealt with. But my point is, if I'm a Christian and I know that a person admits that he or she believes in Satan, why would I want to work with that person on a daily basis, knowing that?
Why would I want to work with
because
you? Knowing that you believe in a God
that
you can't present to anyone.
I would understand that. I wouldn't take it personally. I wouldn't think it's wrong for you to
why can't we treat each other as human beings?
But I'll treat you well, but I just wouldn't let you minister to a group of kids who I know are already having problems with Satan. And so I'm going to bring the son of Satan to talk to them. Doesn't make sense. But anyway.
Wow.
That's why you're running, right? Because you want to change that.
Yeah.
But you're going to be discriminated against them.
Me discriminating against someone?
You're going to discriminate against the Christian. You just
No,
said
no.
it's
That's
discrimination
that's
wrong.
the thing about atheists. We don't discriminate.
It's discrimination wrong.
Discrimination is wrong.
It is wrong?
In all contexts.
And so-
yes, discrimination is wrong.
But you want to have religion. I read that you want religion out of the public square, right?
Correct.
Is that discrimination?
Discriminate depends on. Now, if you put
Depends
up,
on
if you're
what?
the mayor,
If you want to remove religion from the public square,
right?
is that discrimination?
No, that's not discrimination.
Why not?
That's part of the founding fathers' proclamation, because we have a separation.
You're
sir,
not being honest,
of
Mr.
church
Atheist.
And church and state.
See, I told you.
You keep the church and state separate.
So you want to?
So that's not being discriminatory.
Why? Why not?
Okay, will it be? It would be
Why not?
discriminatory
Tell
if
me
I was
why not.
if I was saying we want to keep Allah out of our government.
No.
Now that would be discriminatory. If I say we want to keep Christ out, that would be no. We want to keep religion as a whole out of our politics.
But why?
Why? Because everyone does not think the same or have the same beliefs.
And as a result, you want to discriminate.
No.
Right, because they don't have your same
No,
belief.
you're twisting words worse than Donald Trump up here, sir.
No, I'm not. Do you support transgender men and women going into bathrooms and showers and dressing rooms of choice?
Yes, I support them. They should have the right to go into any bathroom that they feel their orientation dictates.
So if a man is walking down the road and he decides, you know what, I just feel like a woman.
But see, that's being disingenuous
And
with the
he
whole
said,
with the whole
No,
conversation.
I'm not. No,
Yeah.
it's real. And he said,
Yeah,
oh, I need
you don't
to
just
go.
walk down the road. This is a process.
I know, I understand,
most of
Bob.
these people from a very early age, and it's documented and researched, most of these human beings from a very early age have an identity for their sexual orientation. Now, it may not fit.
You know where that influence come from?
No, sir, but you're going to let me know. Tell me.
Your father, the devil.
The father, the devil. Okay, of course. Where else would it come from? The devil.
So this man walking down the road, all of a sudden he just feels like a woman. And now he needs to use the bathroom.
All of a sudden, he feel like a woman.
Right,
Okay.
he needs to use the bathroom. There's a bathroom over there. He goes over and he walks right into the woman's bathroom. Your daughter is sitting there using the bathroom. How would you feel about that?
My daughter's sitting there using the bathroom. She's going to be done in a second.
No, I
She's
said,
not
how
going
would you personally feel about that? This man walking in there, right, looking at your daughter.
Now, see, you guys,
He got to look at her, she's sitting there.
This is what religious people do.
No, how would you feel
I would
about
assume
that?
she's sitting in a stall with the door closed.
Not all bathrooms have stalls, but how would you feel about that?
He's standing there looking at her.
Uh-huh.
Why wouldn't he be using the restroom what he came in there
But he's
for?
still going to be looking around. He's not going to sit
Oh,
there and
he's
close
gonna
his
be
eyes.
looking around.
The question is, how would you feel about that?
I feel fine. I raised my kids to be very intelligent. Why is it always the religious people that feel they have the moral right and the justification to go in and decide what you should do in your bedroom and what you should do in the bathroom?
So you taught your daughter to be intelligent enough to sit there on that stall while this man is sitting there using it and looking at her.
My
and
children
you
are
as
very
a father
intelligent.
wouldn't have a problem with that at all.
Wouldn't have a problem with it at all.
How about if your daughter just finished PE in high school? She's in the 10th, 11th grade, and there's some guy in the same class, and it's time to take a shower. This guy said, oh, I feel like a girl. I want to take a shower with the girls. They all go into the girls' bathroom.
Okay.
And the boys and the girls getting naked, getting into the shower together. Would you be okay for your daughter going through that process?
I'd be fine with it.
You know why I'm not surprised? Because Satan is your father.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be surprised.
Hi, Dad.
So there are no limits, except for good, there are no limits as to what Satan will have his children to do.
As human beings, we need to apply common sense, dignity, and respect to all of these potential situations that you're speaking of.
How about the respect of the men and women who are not for that? They don't want a man or a woman walking into their showers.
Well, that's why it's a
into
democracy.
their bathrooms.
This is why we have a
and
democracy and a
What
Supreme
about the
Court.
respect for those people?